First time training the press handstand. It doesn't look too hard. I think I'll be able to get it. Okay, lean against the wall, press. Oh, that was tough. Okay, you know what? Let me give this another go. I think I just wasn't ready. Okay, lean against the wall, drive through the shoulders. Come on. Don't tell anyone. I'ma just jump. What's up, y'all? Josh from Strength Side. Today I'm going to show you my journey to the press handstand and beyond. Now, this first clip was from back in 2017, and I've pretty much trained it consistently up until now. So that's a good chunk of training and experience that I've put into this movement. My hope is that you guys can see how far away I was from attaining this movement when I started. I mean, I was falling over myself. Now, I'll also give you the advice and tips, the things that I struggled with along the way and what I've learned, and hopefully it can make your journey more efficient than mine has been. So eventually, I stopped falling on my head, and I figured out how to do these wall presses. Now, the wall press can be good for coordinating the press handstand, but because you lean against the wall, it really takes the shoulder strength out of the equation. And what I found very quickly is that my shoulder strength was very minimal. As you can see here, trying to hold the tuck planche was a battle. But my handstand was improving a lot. I was starting to get 20 to 30 second holds, and really that's half the battle, is getting a stable handstand. And as you'll see right here, I was starting to get some lift off without touching my back to the wall. So all the training I was doing was starting to work. In early 2018, I said, let's just go for it. Yes! Got my first press handstand, kind of. I mean, if you look at the form, very shitty, kind of jumping into it a little bit. But nonetheless, you gotta take those wins when you can. And I think this is really important, that even though this wasn't up to par, up to standards, when you look at like the correct form and technique, this was actually really, really motivating for me. I remember just feeling like so good, so strong, and this really just like gave me the fuel to keep training it and to keep making it better. Even though I got my little first press handstand Instagram moment, I was still failing a lot of reps, just like this one. And one of the reasons was because my pancake mobility was just taking so long to improve. As you can see here, very, very stiff. If you want to see my pancake transformation over the years, comment below and I'll show you my journey there. Right here, I was like, ooh, getting so close to a straddle planche. Not. Still struggling for strength. But boy, was I adamant about getting this press handstand better. And the cool thing about handstands and press handstands is you can train them anywhere. So it really became my main form of training throughout this period of my life. And it's cool to see that as each month passes, the press definitely gets stronger and a little bit less ugly. So 2019 hits and I decided to take a step back from the press and work on more foundational exercises like gymnastics rings and push-ups and pull-ups. But I kept working on my pancake in the meantime, and I unlocked a lot of good hamstring flexibility. I was able to get my head all the way to my toe. And when I came back to the press, well, it was looking and feeling pretty damn good. Okay, so this video could end right here. I got my press handstand, it looks good, I'm super happy, but there comes a time in everyone's press handstand journey where you start thinking about the Stalder press. So the Stalder press is a beautiful press handstand where you start sitting on the ground with your legs out in a straddle position. You then place your hands on the ground and you lift yourself all the way up into a handstand. Now, up until this time, I had always looked at that movement. I have friends who could do it and I would just think, there's no way, man. You know, I'm too tall for this. I'm 6'2", my legs are too long. How am I gonna get them, you know, through the ground? It just seemed impossible until about this time in my life, I started thinking, maybe I could tackle this. So I was feeling a little frisky and I was like, you know what, let's just go ahead and try Stalder negative. I'm actually surprised I was even able to get that. But around this time, I hit my first set of 3 straddle press handstands, so I was super pleased with that. And around this time is when I started working with my friend Will Brown. And Will said, hey, before we start working on the Stalder, let's lock in the pike press. So my new goal was getting the pike press down, and after working on it for a couple months, this happened. Just kidding, it was not that easy, but eventually it did come. And then soon after getting the pike press down, the Stalder eccentric lowering negatives, they became a lot stronger and more controlled. So at the end of 2019, I decided to try the Stalder press elevated, and I was surprised that I was able to get it. So I knew that headed into 2020, I was gonna get the Stalder press, but when would I get it? Well, it was a sunny February day out in Santa Cruz, California. I was feeling good, messing about, and I figured I'd just go for one. Yeah! First Stalder, there you have it. So in kind of crazy timing, about a week after I got this first Stalder press, my appendix ruptured. I guess I was Staldering too hard, man. I ended up having to have surgery to, correct this, or to take out my appendix, I guess. So of course, I lost my Stalder press, which was a bit disappointing, but it actually gave me a chance to work on one of my weaknesses. Folding forward, this pike hamstring flexibility, it was easier to make gains there. Now, spreading my legs and doing this more side split, middle split range of motion did not come fast at all. Because I couldn't really train hard strength-wise, I could still stretch coming back from this stomach surgery. So I put a lot of time into working on that range of motion, and it started to pay off. So after a couple months, the Stalder press eventually came back, and boy, was I glad to see it. So I kept working on it because honestly, it still didn't feel super smooth. It was still quite a grind to get these reps. I started working on different variations, moving down into a tuck planche. I kept deepening that pancake, and by the end of the year, my Stalder press was feeling pretty darn solid. Now, starting out 2021, I remember this specific session, I was struggling to get the reps so much, and I remember just asking myself, do I want to keep training this? I got my ultimate goal. It took me almost 3 years to get this Stalder press. Should I keep going? Ultimately, the decision I made was quit whining, get back to work. The Stalder press is an awesome journey because it requires strength, mobility, and the ability to coordinate your body to do this amazing thing. So eventually it was time to go for that double, and I failed. But then I got it, and it was slow and sloppy and ugly, but after some more time spent there, eventually it got better. And last June, I ended up getting my first set of 5 reps on the straddle press handstand. And when I look back on this journey, I'm like, man, there were a lot of ups and downs. There were a lot of struggles. There was a lot of strength to be gained, a lot of flexibility to be gained. I trained through an injury, and that brings us up to present day where I hit Stalder press by 3. Not too bad for starting out stiff, weak, and falling over myself. And I must say, I think the secret ingredient over the years was just to keep on working on the press handstand, to stay consistent for 4 to 5 years. So if you are somewhere on your press handstand journey, I want to share some of my biggest takeaways from my journey, some tips that are really going to help you get your press handstand. So first off, prereqs for the press handstand. Well, you kind of need to be able to handstand. Now, you don't need the craziest, straightest, strongest handstand. I think as long as you can hold anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds, if you're in that range, then you're ready to start working on a press handstand if you want to. Even better if you can hold that straddle position with the legs wide. This is gonna have more carryover into your press handstand. The tuck planche is a really great prereq to be able to start working on a press handstand. Reason being is because the tuck planche develops that foundational straight arm strength with that elbow straight. Most of us don't have a lot of experience creating strength from the shoulder without the elbow bending. So I'd recommend getting yourself to have a solid 10-second tuck planche. Now, if you have trouble developing that like I did in the beginning, I like working with a band. So having the band attached overhead and then attaching it around your waist, this is going to take some of the load off of your shoulders and wrists and allow you to get more time in that position. Number 2, I recommend working in and out of the tuck planche in a more dynamic way. A really great drill from this is the L-sit to tuck planche, back to L-sit, accumulating reps there. So on the flexibility end, you don't need a crazy pancake to start. You guys saw my pancake was horrible in the beginning. But what I do think that is necessary is you need to be able to fold forward and touch your toes. Even better if you can get those palms down to the ground. If you don't have this range of motion, then it's gonna be really hard to get yourself in a position to do the press. So my favorite exercise, the one that I think develops the press handstand the best, is just the press handstand negative. So all this is lowering down through a press handstand. So you kick up and you start in your handstand, then you straddle your legs. You want to focus on pressing the ground away and elevating your shoulders as much as you can. You want to get those legs as wide as you can. The wider that you can get them, the more load it's going to take off of your shoulders. You then lower down, and as you lower, you want to squeeze the core and the hip flexors as hard as you can and try to control it and make it as slow as you can down to the ground. Now, another great lowering exercise to work on is the handstand to tuck planche. So we take our 2 prerequisites, the handstand and the tuck planche, we put them together, and transitioning from the handstand to the tuck planche is really going to develop that straight arm pressing strength. Now, when you're doing your press handstand negatives, what you'll find for most people is that bottom portion, when your feet are getting close to the ground, is the hardest to control. This is usually where we have the least amount of strength. And you'll find that a lot of the time the feet will just drop down once you get to a certain level. I really like the frog hop. So starting in a squat, you place your hands down in front of you, you then move the hips up over your shoulders, just like a press handstand. You then lift the legs from the ground and you try to find a little bit of hovering before those legs come back down and touch the ground. Now, this took me years to develop. This strength is so hard in the beginning, but now I can essentially stand on my hands with my feet hovering off the ground close to my wrists. Now, once you're getting close to getting your first press handstand, the best thing that you can do is just to elevate your feet. Elevating the feet helps you move the hips over the shoulders, and it also just makes less range of motion for the movement. So you can even start in the beginning elevating your feet quite a bit on something high. Over time, you gradually take it lower and lower until you're on the ground. Now, of course, on the other side of things, developing your pancake flexibility is really going to help your press. And more specifically to the press, developing active pancake flexibility. And we have a super in-depth tutorial on developing your pancake. So we'll post that link in the description. I'd love to hear from you. Are you on your press handstand journey? Or maybe there's another skill that you're focused on right now, a muscle up or a front lever. Comment below. Let me know what your goal is going into 2022. We really appreciate just a nice thumbs up. And if you want to join StrengthSide on its journey to 1 million subscribers, then just hit that subscribe button. We drop videos every single Friday. If you enjoyed watching this press handstand journey, you will also enjoy my 5-year handstand transformation. Be sure to check that out. It's right here, as always.